Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to In Bed with Lisa B. I hope you guys are well. It's the 29th of December, 2025. And yes, it is the weekend between Christmas and New Year, which is a bit of a lull. And I think it tends to hit people in different ways. We're doing something a little bit different. It is through the day today. We are on my sofa. So we are in the living room rather than in my bed. However, this sofa I do use as kind of a chilling bed as well. So decided to bring this one to you guys. This is a podcast by a fantastic lady. I'll leave all the details down below. Um, who does need this advice. This I think is great because what it is presenting this to men. Um, we as women get angry with men. Why can't you understand? Why don't you get it? Why don't you understand where I'm coming from? Of course, they're not going to understand where we're coming from because they don't go through it. They can't go through the physical stuff. I think male menopause do go through some of it, I think, but not the kind of not the real horrific side effects as we do as women, because it is a physical change in our body. It isn't just kind of going through a midlife crisis. It is a physical scientific thing that is going through our body. And guys, if you haven't watched any of my videos, please do, because not only are you're not just going to get women moaning about menopause. It might be worth understanding where menopause comes from, and then you might be able to understand your partner a little better. So if you are currently living with your wife who is going through menopause and you're finding life's struggles at the minute are a bit difficult for you, because I am going to give men kind of the credit they need, because how on earth can you understand? We don't even understand, so how on earth can you guys understand? Anyway, hopefully this will lessen the muddy waters a little bit for you, and ladies, hopefully this will help you realize that you are not alone. So please enjoy, and as always, I will be stopping in between. I'll be giving you my opinion, and I'll be giving you my experiences. I'm going through the perimenopause. I'm 52. I've been going through the perimenopause for this is my 6th year. Well, I'll be going to my 7th year now. um I had a very, 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 very I've had two really big, huge meltdowns where I've had to take time off work, etc., etc. I do feel I'm on the up a little bit now. I do feel that I'm still going through the hard times, but the difference is I now have the ability to understand that this isn't forever, and I'm going to come out on top. I've just got to get through this. I say this on every video. I think more knowledge is power. And I think if you understand what you're going, sorry, mate, my hair's very messy, and it's because I'm lying and chilling, but who cares? You're in bed with me, so who cares? Anyway, let's crack on with this video. Let's see what's what, and let's see what you think of this. Play.
Saying thank you. Most men never get this far, not because they don't care, but because no one's ever told them that this matters, but it does. Because if there's a woman in your life, your partner, your wife, your sister, your best friend, and she's somewhere between her mid-30s and mid-50s, there's a good chance she is in perimenopause or menopause right now. And what she's going through, it's real. Even if she hasn't been able to explain it, even if her doctor has brushed her off, even if you've been thinking, something just feels different. So maybe she's saying, I'm so tired. I can't sleep through the night. Maybe she's getting up at 3 a.m. Maybe she's snapping at everybody and then apologizing because she doesn't feel like herself. Maybe her body is changing in ways that just don't make sense. Or she's dealing with anxiety that came literally out of nowhere. And you've probably noticed it too. The woman you know and have known all along, strong, capable, handling everything, suddenly seems overwhelmed by things that never used to bother her. And you want to help, but you don't know how to help. Well, this is the moment where you start to understand what's actually happening. And I'm going to tell you something. It's going to make you be a better partner, a better friend, a better human. Here's what most people don't understand. Menopause and perimenopause is not just about hot flashes. We're talking about a biological shift that affects her brain, her sleep, her metabolism, her confidence, her sex life, literally every system in her body. And she's probably just been told, it's stress or it's aging, you're getting older.
How many ladies? The problem is, I think, is that because a lot of medical professionals do dismiss this. I don't know if you've watched. There's another video I did. She's one of the leading kind of menopause doctors in America, and Claire, brain fog. See, it'll come to me. Anyway, and she was a doctor in a hospital, and the older doctors would say there's a WW in room 2, 3, whatever. And what WW meant was whining woman, and it was that certain age of a woman. So how on earth, if medical professionals haven't got the empathy and the knowledge and the training on menopause, how on earth are husbands supposed to have it? If doctors haven't got it, then husbands definitely haven't got it. So sometimes husbands and wives are going to have to think out of the box and start doing research and start kind of understand it. That's where my videos come into play. I'm trawling the internet to find videos I think that are going to be useful and are going to be helpful for the likes of you, husbands, mums, brothers, basically anybody that has got a female in their life is going to go through this basically. So yeah, like I say, how on earth, if professionals, they are getting better as the generation's going on. I think there's obviously a lot more female doctors in the medical profession now. And obviously females are a lot more empathetic. And I think obviously when there's male doctors around female doctors are telling male doctors, what's going on with their symptoms and stuff. So it is starting to become recognized. We've got a hell of a long way to go, but we're a lot further than what we were generations before. So yeah, but knowledge, I'll keep saying that knowledge is definitely power. Definitely power. Let's crack on.
When it's actually something much more specific. So again, thank you. You're about to hear directly from the doctors I've interviewed for my book, How to Menopause, for my documentary, The M Factor, and for this very podcast, The Tamsin Show. Some of the smartest people on the planet we've brought in here to our Soho studios when it comes to women's health. These are the experts who actually understand what's happening and also what can be done about it. Because when you understand what's really going on, everything changes. I promise you that. Not just for her, but for the both of you.
Just before we go on to the menopause defined, that is so correct. It just validates you. You know, it's not just you, and it doesn't help the actual physical symptoms, but it just helps you to understand that you aren't alone, and that is a massive help during these times, and I'm speaking from experience. Anyway, let's have a look at menopause defined.
So where do we start? With the basics you probably never learned, because I never learned. If you're like most men, nobody ever explained what's actually happening to a woman's body during this time. And without this basic foundation, without just understanding,
again, you're saying most men. I'm sorry, and I don't know if you guys agree with me. It's still most women as well don't know. They know they're going to go through this time of where the periods stop. I was never, ever, ever, and I mean, I'm 52. My generation was never, ever, ever warned that this was going to happen. Our generation, which is Gen Xers, obviously we do talk a lot more about it. Mental health started to be talked about 20 years ago, a lot more now. It's kind of all mixed in with the same thing. So yeah.
A little bit of the science behind what she's experiencing, it's impossible to show up the way she needs you to. So we're going to go back to school just for a minute. It's a class they should have taught us, but they didn't. Did you know that menopause is just one day? It's the 12-month anniversary of her last period. That's it, one day. And what really affects her physically, emotionally, neurologically is the 5 to 10 years before that. That's perimenopause. It's the in-between. And it can start as early as 35 years old. So imagine that. I want to break it down for you, though, with a visual to make it a little bit easier. If you want to imagine her hormones, they're like a thermostat. For most of her adult life, that thermostat keeps things really steady and pretty well regulated. Up a little, down a little, same rhythm every month. But during perimenopause, that thermostat starts short circuiting. Some days it blasts the heat, and you can see she's sweating through her clothes, her heart is racing, she can't sleep, she's overwhelmed, frustrated. Other days it crashes. She feels exhausted, low, maybe detached, anxious, like her brain has been replaced with fog, like you're on the outside looking in. This isn't a slow fade, though. That's what's important to remember. It's unpredictable surges and drops in estrogen and progesterone. And since those are the hormones affecting everything from her brain and metabolism to her sleep or skin or stress response, it can make her feel like she's.
You've got to understand here, ladies and gents, is that estrogen, that proestrogen, is it progesterone? I still kind of, I wish they'd name them easier. That basically, that's what makes us as women work. You know what you saw there, just a little bit of about the thermostat thing there. That is so true. So my thermostat for 46 years was great. It was all in, and then all of a sudden it started malfunctioning. And that was when everything started to go wrong. It doesn't come bang. It's, you know, you don't all of a sudden go from having in my experience anyway, this is my personal journey, I didn't go from one day being fine and the next day having all these symptoms and all this thing and I'm good. No, it just gradually started kicking in, and then before I knew it, I was this different person and I didn't understand why. This is the medical reasons why. This is a real thing.
Coming literally undone. That's how I felt. And it came without warning. Okay, so imagine trying to go to work like that. Imagine trying to show up for your kids like that, trying to stay connected in a relationship while all that's happening every day. Most women have no idea what's going on because nobody teaches it again.
Exactly.
Not to them and definitely not to you. So I get it. On a recent episode of The Tamsin Show, I asked leading OBGYN Dr. Mary Claire Haver to break it down based on real data. What symptoms are showing up most during perimenopause? Here's what she said. Dr. Mary Claire, what are the most common symptoms of perimenopause women should be looking for?
So interesting you asked, because I recently asked my followers to submit testimonials for the new book. And we went through a laundry list of symptoms with them. So I compiled everything. The 5 most common symptoms. Number 1, hot flashes and night sweats. Everybody knows that. Number 2, so that's 85.9%. 82.4% weight gain and redistribution. So new belly fat.
Check.
82.3% anxiety, depression, and panic attacks.
Check.
81.7% sleep disturbances.
Check.
And then 80.6% fatigue.
Gosh.
Now, we're still in the 70s. Sexual dysfunction, gastrointestinal problems, bloating, digestion issues, brain fog, migraines, dizziness, memory problems, joint pain, muscle aches, osteoporosis, heart palpitations, irregular heartbeat. That was 51.8% for palpitations in our survey.
Wow.
Skin, hair, and nail changes, 46%. Dry or itchy eyes, 39%. Burning mouth sensation, taste changes, urinary dysfunction, allergies, body odor changes. This is perimenopause. We're not even through the transition yet.
And that's 4 to 7 to 10-year transition. So this isn't just aging. It's not just mood swings or weight gain or stress from work. It's a biological shift that hits almost every part of her system. And she's.
Did you hear there all those different, I mean, 80 odd % of people who are going to go through the menopause are going to get the hot flushes. They're going to get the, you know, the ones that are obvious, the weight gain. I mean, I have put 3.5 stone on. Here's a little story for you. It's a funny one. I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan, and I got on my 40th, I got a beautiful tattoo with him on my side, on a silhouette, all done in black, and then R.I.P. King of Pop. Loved my tattoo. However, thanks to the weight gain, he's gone from Michael Jackson to Barry White. He's just huge. So yeah, I unfortunately have gotten 9 times out of 10 of those symptoms. And trust me, it isn't. I'm not sitting here just agreeing and saying, well, yes, I've got that one. Yes, I genuinely. And can you imagine having all of these symptoms together? No wonder us as women are breaking down and wanting out, because it is just too much at times. And it does become overwhelming, and it does get too hard to control. But the thing is, if you're not expecting it, that's the wrong word, but if you understand it and get the fact that some of this might be going to happen to you later on, when this starts happening to the younger generation, hopefully they're going to be more quick because of videos like this and because of people like us who are putting it out there 24/7 for us to try and understand it. But also, I want my daughter, who is now 27, I don't want my daughter to go through what I've gone through. I want her to, immediately recognize the signs and immediately get a little bit of help with it. So yeah, again, and I'll keep saying it all through the video, knowledge is definitely power.
Probably being told it's everything except what it actually is. Can you imagine that? So maybe your partner's been saying, I'm so tired, or I can't sleep, or you can feel her waking up 3 o'clock in the morning and not getting back to sleep.
Yep.
Or the big one, I don't feel like myself. My body's changing and I just don't understand it. And her doctor says, everything looks normal, or you're still getting your period, so it's probably not hormonal. Or worse, maybe you just need to relax. Here's what's really going on. Her hormones are fluctuating constantly. Estrogen and progesterone rising and crashing like a roller coaster. One day her brain feels sharp. The next day she can't remember what she walked into the room for, or forgets like mid-sentence while you're talking. Her nervous system feels over-revved. Her gut is off. Her sleep is destroyed. And she's thinking, what the hell is happening to me? So when I sat down,
that's one of my biggest things that I have suffered is the sickness, the gut. I would reach round about 20 times a day. I'd bring up white froth. And it was all down to the anxiety and the cortisol and all the likes of that. I cannot say these posh words, but that's maybe what my next thing should be, is actually learn them. But let's have a list to see what Dr. Sharon Malone has to say. I have watched certain bits on her as well.
Now with OBGYN and menopause specialist, Dr. Sharon Malone, who's been treating women through this for decades, and asked her, why is perimenopause still so misunderstood? Here's what she told me.
I think perimenopause is the most confusing of these stages, because perimenopause just simply means around the menopause. And it is also called the menopausal transition, where you go from your peak fertility years to no fertility. And it's that gap in between. And for most women, that can last anywhere from 4 to 10 years. If you're African American woman, your symptoms and that period lasts more closer to 10 years than 4.
Bless you.
It is characterized by a lot of things, but the one thing that it is not characterized by is a lack of periods. And we think of menopause as being, okay, that's when my period stops, right? Well, in perimenopause, you may be getting your period regularly. It may be different.
Just going to stop there. I just do want to point out that it is a little bit different for me personally, and probably a lot of women out there. I had to have a hysterectomy at 42, which is 10 years ago now, and but they left me ovaries in, and so I wouldn't go into early menopause at 42. That was kind of the doctor's advice. Obviously, 10 years ago, still didn't know a lot about menopause, so you just do as you're told, especially when you're in pain and what have you. But yeah, I don't have, however, I don't have physical periods, but I can feel the cramps now, and I'm starting to feel them maybe 2-3 times a month. So what I am thinking, especially after the research I've done, I'm thinking what is happening is those 2 or 3, I would be having erratic periods right now. So I think would be having periods, because I can feel the cramp in my ovaries, and sometimes I'm in excruciating pain. I do suffer from bulging discs as well. So sometimes, honestly, it's horrific. Sometimes when the ovaries are playing up, they're pressing on a nerve, which intensifies the pain in my back. So yeah, I am unfortunate, well, not unfortunately, but I am one of those who can't gauge by my periods for that reason. Hello. Oh, I was going to come over. Okay. I might still pop over if I can, just to see how you are. Bye-bye, love you, bye-bye. It's all live, folks, all live. That was my mum. She's not very well, bless her. Anyway, let's get back into back into this.
It may be heavier, maybe lighter, they may be closer together, further apart. That's sort of the first signal that there's really something going on, is there changes in irregularity. And if you don't understand that the presence or absence of bleeding is not a defining feature of perimenopause, then you'll think, oh, it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with menopause. But all of those symptoms that we talk about, that we associate with menopause, can start during perimenopause. And the reason why it's not helpful to get blood work during perimenopause is because your hormones during perimenopause are fluctuating. They may be too high one day, too low the next, and it is that sort of erratic hormone production that really produces a lot of the symptoms that women have, particularly the brain fog, the irritability. Imagine it's like having.
Now, so let's just cut my mind there. This, when we do bloods to see if we are in the perimenopause or the menopause stage, etc., the doctor there's just made a very, very good point. Is now I could be going for bloods. I could be in my late 30s, I wish, or I could be in my mid 40s, and I could know something's off. You know your own body, you know something's off, and you go to the doctor. They say, let's take a blood test. Now your hormones that day might be fine. It might be tomorrow that they're going to drop, or it might be the day after they're going to go sky high, or they might even out for 2 days. And then, do you see what I mean? So it's also when you're going for your bloods to confirm what you think. If you may have watched a lot of videos like me, wondering why you're feeling this way. It's all come to light that it's menopause. You go to your doctor, they'll say, you'll say the classic, and doctors hate it when you go in and go, well, I've Googled this. I suppose it's a doctor's biggest pet hate, but thank God there is Google out there, especially for this. And I say this in a lot of videos as well, doctors or GPs will only get, in all of their years of training, they'll only get 4 hours on menopause. That's half of the population that they're only getting 4 hours training on. So it is, and I think this generation of doctors have been learning as they're going. They have been listening to what people's symptoms are. They have been taking it seriously. It's not the WW, the whining woman. It's a genuine thing, and doctors are more interested in this now, which is great for us. Which is, it's fantastic for us. But I lost my train of thought. Welcome to the menopause.
PMS every day. That is sort of what perimenopause is like. And for a woman to come in with all those, any combination of the symptoms that we talked about, but you're still getting regular periods, and you go see your doctor, you're like, what is wrong with me? And your doctor says, well, when was your last period? If that's your first question, and you say 2 weeks ago, and they've immediately taken anything to do with menopause off the table, that is not correct. And I think that's where there has to be some adjustment with doctors, so they understand that perimenopause and menopause are different things, and they occur at different times. And it's not a blood test. You don't need a sonogram. You don't need a soothsayer. You don't need anyone to tell you, who decides.
So all those things are now available, it seems, out there in menopause
You
world.
don't need to pee on a stick. You don't need to do any of that stuff to tell you if you're perimenopausal. Perimenopause is defined when you say it is, when you are having symptoms.
Yeah.
And you are between the ages of 35 and 45. That's sort of typically when perimenopause starts. But because there's no bright line that signals the beginning of it, that's where I think the confusion is.
Then menopause. Menopause is when you've gone a year without a period. Is that right?
They define menopause as once you have had your final menstrual period. Well, how do you know? You don't know until you look back. It's just confirmed when you've gone a year and you haven't had another one. Because when you're perimenopausal, you can have a period, not have one, think, ooh, I'm almost done, 6 months later, and then have another period. That's not abnormal. But you can officially say, I'm done when I've gone 12 months.
I
But
can't.
that has nothing to do about treatment options and when to initiate therapy. You initiate when you are symptomatic and when you decide, okay, this is enough. I need to be treated for whatever my symptoms are.
You have a line about suffering that I always appreciate, but can you talk about that? Because we do know that you don't have a choice when it comes to menopause.
You do not. And you know what? I always say menopause is inevitable, suffering is not. Because, I think that is something that we as women do. We accept a certain baseline of suffering that just comes with womanhood, whether we're talking about cramps or childbirth.
Do you know, she's just touched upon that's not fair. I'm sorry, but it's not. It's like we have as women, and I know men are going to be rolling their eyes, but we have as women kind of have just sat back and accepted it. We have kind of gone, well, we're going to go through the hot flush as well. We've got to go through the births. Well, we've got to go through the periods because we're women. And it has just become, and the cramps. I mean, I used to suffer really bad cramps, and it has become over time, over the whole of time, it has just been, well, it's what's going to happen. Get up, get on with it. No, I mean, there is things out there now to help a common cold. There is things out there to help a headache. Why not things out there to help a menopausal woman, which there is. There's HRT, and that's another video I'm going to do because I know there's a lot of women out there scared. We were scared mongered by the HRT. However, it was tested very, very wrongly. They've openly said that it was tested on women in between, I think it was it 55 and 85, where it's actually women who need it from 35 onwards if they're going through the peri. So yes, it is something that we've always had to go, we've just got to put up and shut up. Well, no, times are changing, and as times should be changing, and we should be getting help for this. This is horrific.
Birth or pregnancy
Rant.
or PMS or depression. That is sort of what we think comes along with being a woman. And, and I'm here to say, no, it does not have to be. So the one message I want to leave women with, Tamsin, is this, is that you do not have to suffer. But by the same token, I don't want you to think that, oh, here, take this pill and it's all going to be fine.
Yeah.
There is a lot of work that you need to do on the front end.
There
and
is.
I don't care whether you're talking about menopause or whether you're talking about cancer prevention or whether you're talking about decreasing your risk of cardiovascular disease. Healthy lifestyle matters. So, yeah.
All these things women can develop because of menopause. Things like osteoporosis. We can, our hearts can weaken. I'm not just talking about, I'm a bit moody. I'm talking about things that can affect my longevity of my life. And this is why I'm wanting to educate us all, me included, because I need educating. That's why I sit for hours, like I say, trawling through videos. And if there's anything that I watch that I think can be useful, I'll do it in bed with Lisa B, because I just want to be able to build a community on here. I want to have a laugh as well, because listen, I hopefully was a funny woman, right? I loved being, the life and soul of the party. I loved being the person who always cracked the jokes. I was very on form and I was very witty. That has gone. That Lisa has took a back seat at the minute. The new Lisa who is trying to come forward, if you like, I want to teach her about that the new Lisa can still be funny and can still be witty and can still be a bugger at times, and a diva and sassy. That's all gone for me now. But I'm wanting to kind of get that back.
Yes. This is a both and, not an either or. So do the things that you need to do on the front end. And when you've done all those things and you are still suffering, do not feel as if you have failed. You have not. You are going through an experience that all of us, if we live long enough, will. And 80% of us will have some degree of symptoms that may need to be addressed.
Whether the woman in your life is in perimenopause or menopause or what's referred to as postmenopause, meaning after menopause, she needs support, not dismissal. Not just get on with it, real informed support. And that's what we're going to give you in the rest of this episode. Because I promise you, once you understand what is actually going on, you're going to be able to show up differently with more patience, more empathy, and a whole lot more clarity. And if you want more after this, I did put together a free downloadable men's guide to menopause. It's linked right in the description. You can print it out, you can highlight it.
I've also put it in the description in here as well, because it is well worth, even females, try and, if your fella needs a bit of a push, try and sneakily send him it. Try and send him it by accident. Say it was something for me to look at, to watch, but you've come across it. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to leave the link below, and I think it will help a man just to be a little bit more sympathetic. They'll never be empathetic, but sympathetic maybe. It's worth the go.
You can leave it on the kitchen table. Show the woman in your life that you care enough to learn. There is no better feeling than being truly supported. And now you're going to know how.
The knowledge gap.
Let me ask you something. What happens when your partner finally decides to ask for help? Okay, she goes to the doctor. She lays it all out. I'm exhausted. I'm gaining weight. Nothing's working. I'm working out. I'm eating the same. I'm eating better than before, and I'm still gaining weight.
That's what mine looks like.
My heart is racing out of nowhere. I don't feel like myself. And the doctor says, everything looks pretty normal. Or worse, maybe you're just stressed. Now, that might sound like a one-off, but it is not. No. I have interviewed dozens of experts for my book, How to Menopause, and for the M Factor documentary, and now for this podcast, The Tamsin Show. I've talked to Dr. Mary Claire Haver, Dr. Sharon Malone, Dr. Kelly Casperson, Dr. Heather Hirsch. They all say the same thing. Most doctors never learn this. I want that to sit with you for a minute. Doctors did not learn about this in medical school for the most part. And if they did, it was just a little bit of education. Even OBGYNs, the people you assume know the most about women's health, right? They're getting an hour of menopause education in medical school, maybe a day if they're lucky. To dig into this more, I sat down with menopause specialist, Dr. Heather Hirsch. She ran the Menopause and Midlife Clinic at Harvard's Brigham and Women's Hospital. And now she trains physicians all across the country to recognize what they were never taught. And I have got to share with you what she told me. Listen to this. What do you find that you're teaching clinicians most? And is it OB-GYNs? Who are you teaching? Is it general practitioners?
Yes, I'm a wide range of clinicians. So, I have a lot in my courses. I have OB-GYNs, internal medicine, family medicine, some urologists, as you know.
Yeah.
These urologists are like, this topic is so important. And I really need to learn this because I didn't get this in any of my training. I have actually some psychiatrists, some mental health providers in my courses, even emergency room doctors. They're seeing, urinary tract infections. They're seeing panic attacks. We're talking about the heart. I was like, there's more there.
This is what happened to me. I ended up having a huge panic attack at work, and it got that bad. I ended up passing out. An ambulance came for me. I didn't know what the hell was happening to me. I just kind of was in the ambulance, and the heart was racing, and my blood pressure was very high. It was all to do with a panic attack. I got taken to hospital. I was in this room. I'll never forget it. I didn't know what was happening to us. I was in the hospital room, and I just broke down. And a doctor, he was a young male doctor, he was lovely, came into me, and I just broke down, and I said, please help me. Something is not right, and I don't know what it is. Please, can you help me? And he asked my age. And like I say, he must only been in his 30s. And he asked my age, and he said, I think this is perimenopause. And just to hear somebody say, I think this is what it is, was just like, wow. As somebody just kind of believed me, because it is about belief, and it's crazy.
They're seeing all these things and they're thinking, this could be menopause. How do I even explain this to a patient? And it's for MDs and DOs, as well as physician's assistants and nurse practitioners.
I think it's really fascinating and so important that we're talking about all these different disciplines too. Most of the time we talk about menopause, we think of OBGYNs, but there's no way to cover what we need in this country, more or less world, with the number of OBGYNs we have, even if we tripled that number.
Exactly. And, circling back to my story, starting in OBGYN, I do find that, of course, the training is so heavy on really important topics, obstetrics and surgery. And it's really hard to also have all this knowledge to be able to sit down and talk about menopause. Not that it cannot be done, but I actually think that those who are doing real primary care in internal medicine or family practice, I think being able to manage menopause is something that is really right up your alley, right? Because you are talking to patients all the time about, chronic things. Now, we don't want to call menopause a disease or a syndrome or a symptom, but it is something that it's part of your physiology and it's going to stay that way for the rest of your life. And so I think those, clinicians in primary care really, this is a great thing for them to either learn or relearn because it's going to benefit their patients so much.
Are there courses right now that are mandated in the area of perimenopause or menopause, or that's just up to the discretion of the school or of where they're training?
Yeah. So, I was going to have a one-word answer, which was no. But
fair.
The American College of Graduate Medical Education, or the ACGME, is really who we need to almost lobby to get more time allotted for medical students and residents to understand the lifelong impacts and physiologic changes of perimenopause and menopause, because I do think the statistics are really true. It's about an hour of, education, which is not only just
I could spend 3 hours sitting here asking you about,
exactly
a sliver of what we need to know.
Exactly. The pyramid's completely upside down.
So if your partner's been dismissed, if she's been told, it's just stress, everything looks fine, she is not alone. She is not crazy. The system has been behind. The information is out there. And that's why this movement is happening.
What hormones do
if you're saying, okay, my wife is at this age right now, or somebody I work with might be dealing with this, I really want to get into the mood part, because this is one of the most misunderstood and most relationship shaking parts of menopause and perimenopause. This shift affects how she feels, how she reacts, and how she sees herself.
All of those three for me have massively changed. I don't know if you're aware, I'm currently going through a divorce at the moment. My partner, we had other issues as well. However, I don't think my partner was built to understand this. And obviously when we first met, he didn't have to. I didn't understand it. But he's just not that way inclined to be able to support. I tried chucking the videos at him. He didn't want to watch. He's just not that way inclined. And I had to get out. It was damaging me, trying to almost hide my symptoms because I knew it was affecting him. And it really got me to a point where I didn't want to be here anymore. And I knew I had to take the decision of walking out of this marriage before one of them was going to kill me first, was the menopause or the marriage. Wasn't the easiest thing to do, but it was the right thing to do.
And if you don't know what's happening, it can actually feel like everything is unraveling for no reason, and you don't even know this person anymore. I sat down with psychiatrists and neurologists for my book, How to Menopause, because the emotional toll of this transition can be just as intense as a physical one. And trust me, I have felt it myself. For me, it started like anxiety that I couldn't name. I'd wake up in the middle of the night. I'd feel my chest was caving in. My mind wouldn't stop racing. And then came mood swings. I'd go from 0 to crying in 60 seconds for no reason, like over nothing. I didn't feel like myself, and I didn't know how to explain it. It wasn't until I learned how deeply hormones affect the brain that everything started to make sense for me. Because this isn't just a body shift, it's a neurological one.
Exactly.
To break this down further, I'm bringing in leading neuroscientist, Dr. Lisa Mosconi. I have learned so much from her. She is the first researcher to look at the female brain like this.
So there are many different reasons that a person may have this feeling of brain fog. One of those being menopause.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know that up to 62% of midlife, peri, and postmenopausal women report a decline in memory, attention, and language performance, which can be exceptionally scary.
Yes.
And can range from very mild to, something that you do notice in conversations. Right? So for those women, it's really important to realize it could be just menopause, if you will. Otherwise, let's do other testing. And we always recommend getting a good baseline, because then if things improve, great. But if things do not improve or get worse, then you have your own brain and your own body to refer to in terms of, we don't want to compare you to other people your age necessarily. We want to compare you to you a couple of years ago so that we can get a better sense of what's happening and why.
Do you recommend, if a woman is dealing with pretty debilitating brain fog, to come and get a brain scan?
That's what I would do. I can't necessarily recommend it because it's been done for research.
Okay.
But there are also specialized Alzheimer's prevention
tests,
clinics and memory clinics that people do have access to.
Okay.
If your concerns are serious and if the brain fog is negatively...
See, that's my only concern now, is brain fog has now become I think brain fog, because we're talking about it, I think has become associated with menopause the same as what hot flashes have. So, but just be very, very careful, because obviously it is very easy to, if you're going through the menopause, to just dismiss it as part of the menopause, and you could be missing something else. So just be aware of that. I know I have been a little bit more aware of that. You get that brain fog so bad where you go, oh my God, this can't be, this isn't normal. It's got to be a bit, it's got to be worse. It's got to be Alzheimer's, because perimenopause, you shouldn't be forgetting what, yes, you should, but still get it checked out is my advice to you, definitely.
Impacting your quality of life and just your day to day, then for me, I would want to be tested. I would want to know, is this something that will just go away in a couple of years? Is there something I can take that makes me feel better? Right? Should I start thinking about long-term planning? I'm a very practical person, so I think it depends.
Well, I know you're a scientist.
It depends, yes.
But I want to go through these scans that you're looking at. Yes. And it's the number one statement. I don't feel like myself.
Yes.
And that is here.
Absolutely.
I think first and foremost, and then it's everywhere else.
Absolutely. It's not even the hot flashes.
No.
Sometimes I think many women can handle a hot flash. The hot flashes are very
I hate them, but I can't handle them.
They need clinical attention and care. But it's the brain fog that worries you the most.
Yes.
In part because we don't talk about it.
And because I don't think that there's a real definitive answer, right? Because you just don't really know what you're dealing with. And I think it's something, weight gain is one thing, not sleeping is one thing, but brain fog's not. If you haven't gone through it before, and most of us haven't, it's very scary.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. I'm told that it's really, really scary. It happened to me once after Lily was born.
Oh,
it's my only example.
Mommy
of
brain.
Mommy brain
Right.
was the same.
Yeah, which is the same.
Very similar.
Okay.
But I'm told it's a very similar experience.
Okay. So let's see. What are we looking at here? Because these are the scans that you did.
Yeah. So see, here's the thing that people would say to me, well, whatever you see in women who are after menopause is just age, because they're older than women who are premenopausal. And they're like, yes, but I'm matching them to men of the same age. If it was just age, then the men would show the same things. They're like, no, because they're men. I was like, okay, you know what? We now have women who are exactly the same age. These women are all 50 years old.
See if I can
This woman has a regular menstrual cycle. This woman is perimenopausal, skipping periods, and this woman is early postmenopausal, just a few years after the final menstrual period.
And can you describe what we're seeing in each one?
Yes. So these are brain scans done with FDG PET, which is fluorodeoxyglucose positron emission tomography, and we're looking at brain energy levels. We're going to look at the premenopausal woman first, where you can see a lot of red. There's red at the top of the brain, to the side of the brain, and here in the middle at the bottom. This is exactly what a healthy brain looks like from a metabolic perspective. You want to have a lot of red, some yellow, and just a little bit of green in the middle of the brain, which is perfectly normal. And then we have these areas in blue, which is fluid. There is fluid inside the brain. It has to be, right? It's a cushioning support mechanism. Now, what happens at the perimenopausal stage, if you look at these lines that connect the three different brains, you can see, I think, how the red, especially here, is turning yellow. Everything is a little bit yellower than here. And then at the postmenopausal stage, there's the big drop where the red turns yellow and the yellow turns green, and everything is much darker in some ways. Can you see it?
So there's less energy.
There is less energy. Like, do you see this big red blob?
Yes.
This is the temporal cortex, which is very close to the memory centers of the brain. And you see how it's yellow here and it's completely green over there? That's a 30% drop in brain energy levels in that part of the brain.
And what does a drop in? And by the way, as we're looking at these, we're going to put a link to Dr. Mosconi's scans in the show notes, so you can take a look at her scans as well. So just be aware of that if you're listening to this and don't see it yet. We'll make sure that it's in there so you can share what we're looking at. Does that ever recover? What does the lack of brain energy mean? Is that where the brain fog comes? Is that where the...
So we're trying to understand what this means behaviorally. And this is something that always comes up when we talk about brain scans, that people just assume that because something is happening in the brain, that would immediately translate into something that you can see in a person's behavior, or that's not always the case. This is something that happens at the tissue level, but it does correlate with memory function. So the lower your energy levels in the brain, the lower your memory, attention, and language capabilities within normal limits. So these changes are not in any way, shape, or form the sign of a deficiency. It's just something that happens in the brain as part of the transition to menopause for some women, at least. For some women, it could be something more serious. But we do believe that this is a sign that the brain is kind of switching gears.
So let me look at that. Oh, I just took the picture off now. I was looking at the picture. Did you see the red that had changed the yellow, then to the green? Wow. I've never seen it put like that before. So I'm quite impressed with that.
Because estrogen, especially estradiol, is a neuroprotective hormone that also energizes the brain. And if you will, it kind of pushes neurons to burn sugar faster. It's like estrogen is almost to the brain what fuel is to a car, what gasoline is to a car. It gives you that extra, speed, in a way. And after menopause, estradiol production remains minimal. It doesn't completely stop from the ovaries, but levels are very, very low. And another form of estrogen is being produced a little bit more than before. It's called estrone, which is our backup estrogen, but is not nearly as impactful in the brain as estradiol used to be. And so there's an overall change.
And so we really see, for people who are listening, we see the premenopause scan with a lot of red, a lot of brain energy. Perimenopause,
and in between.
Postmenopause, we see a lot more green and blue, but not as much red, which is a brain energy. Now, does that come back after we are in postmenopause, after we've hit menopause and postmenopause? Because I have to say, when you and I first met, which is a few years ago now, I had really debilitating brain fog to a point that I'd be very nervous. I didn't feel my confidence like it used to be because I didn't have the memorization skills that I used to have. Over the course of the past maybe 6 to 8 months, I felt those coming back. And I have really felt them. And I was like, am I imagining it? Am I just wanting to feel them? But I definitely feel them. I definitely feel that I don't hesitate. Right. I don't hesitate when I'm speaking. I don't feel like I need cards. I mean, I was to a point where I would put notes on the top of my computer because I would be nervous that I would forget something. And so that's very nice. But is that what happens? Is there a bounce back after you've been in menopause for a little while?
So you may not be surprised to hear that there isn't a lot of research done.
Dr. Lisa Mosconi, I'm shocked by this breaking news. And if your partner's saying things like, I'm snapping at everyone, I don't feel like myself, that's the big one. Or even, I think I'm going crazy. She is not going crazy. Her brain is literally trying to recalibrate without the hormones that she's used to depending on. Here's the thing. This is when she needs your support the most, not to be fixed, not to be avoided, just seen, understood, and met with care. I'm going to make you uncomfortable now, so just be prepared for it and know I said it. We're going to talk about something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, sex in midlife. And I want you to stay with me here because if you're...
Right, I'm going to pause there only because my selfish here is going through a divorce. I ain't getting any sex. Even if I wanted it, not that I do, I ain't getting it anyway. So I'm going to stop it there. But I hope that that has been, and we will do a video about sex later on. Let's talk about sex, baby. But that there to me is fascinating. If this is the first time that you've actually watched anything that's explained what you're going through in your brain, does it, please comment below and let me know, has it made you feel more powerful that you know what this is and that now you can deal with it? Like I said, I'll put all the links in below. This lady's absolutely fantastic. I do love to watch lots and lots of different things about menopause and mental health and things. I like to review it. I like to give my experience, hence why it's in bed with Lisa B. So yeah, yes, I am. I'm quite happy with that video. Thank you very much. Like I say, I will download all the links down below. Yeah, I can walk away from that with new thoughts, and now I can look into it deeper and hopefully bring it to you guys and just help you understand. Like I say, we're just building a little community here. It's not all doom and gloom. We're going to have some giggles. We're going to do some reviews on silly things as well, just to give her a bit of a laugh. Because like I said earlier on, I want that old Lisa to come back. You know, I want that hopefully funny. Yeah, she's just not quite back yet. And hopefully you'll see over the next year, and this is my plan, I'm going to start taking care of myself again. That went on the wayside, which is quite common, which I'll do another video of why we let ourselves go during menopause. But 2026 for me is all about eating healthy. So you're going to watch that with me. It's all about doing exercise, but exercises that are right for me because I have bulging discs, bit of Pilates, etc. I'm going to take you along to some of my appointments with me. So yeah, the in bed with Lisa B isn't what you think. So if you kind of clicked on this because you thought it was a bit fresh and dirty, you were very wrong. So men, watch it. Men, I'd love you to comment. I'd love to see what your comment is. So please feel free to do so. And yeah, I will sign out like I always do. Nighty night, sleep tight. Don't let the beddy bugs bite. Lots of love, guys.